for some reason, I wasn't there, we didn't have much time for rehearsals, we just thrown on stage. Now, luckily what happened in that play is that the whole play is one narration and this guy's just reacting to it. I've never heard the play. The show, the resonance that character had, the resonance and the beast that show became, and the industry was all like, everyone was kind of loved it, gave it so much of love, gave me so much of love. Master directors like Anurag Kashyap, it's there wherever you go, it's like in your face,
Right.
not that kind of thing, but almost kind of can achieve a cult status and a talking point for a long time, which is good enough. Every film has its journey.
Yeah.
The basic thing, the yardstick of success or failure, even back in the day when, theatre started, when I was like taking the first few steps, it was all
Right.
about the audience reaction. Hi, this is Ishwak Singh and you're watching me on IWMBuzz.
It all began about 5 years ago by being noted by everyone as Imran Ansari in Paatal Lok Season 1, and here we are 5 years later revisiting the character in a very different way. Hi everyone, this is Kunal Kothari, you're watching me on IWMBuzz, and the conversation is going to be really interesting because the person I'm sitting with is none other than Imran Ansari himself, Ishwak Singh. Hi!
Hello.
I'll not go with the cliched question, okay? The first one is a little doozy, I guess, because I really find it interesting when it comes to the idea of perception, right? And I'm talking about audience's perception as well as your perception as an actor. So my question is that about 5 years ago, you obviously did pretty, notable roles in several films before Paatal Lok, just broke out of nowhere. So what my question is that one of the reasons that Imran Ansari was loved so much for his innocence, and his naivete also to an extent, what he brought to the table to Hathiram in the first season, right? And audience loved that and loved you in that sense. Do you believe that now in season 2, obviously things have changed, you've become one of the breakout stars of OTT, and do you believe that audience will perceive you in a way, okay, now I know this actor, I've seen amazing roles by him, but things have changed. So, there is a certain need to go crazy or, to go a little, take the notches higher. Do you believe any of that?
In terms of performance?
Yeah, in terms of the performance and audience's perception for the performance.
I can't be thinking about that. I mean, it's pointless to think about it, and I think that's not the function of an actor to think about what I need to do to get a certain response out of the audience. I mean, that just is like an antithesis of how I think an actor functions. It's completely, driven by the tempo and the tone set by the writer. And that's how I need to kind of navigate it, to kind of align with that vision. And then if I have something to offer of my own in terms of, which is, of course, which also happens with a sort of a collaboration, that you feel that, because I'm kind of seeing it at a very granular level, the character, and the writer's written the whole thing, and, he's got like put the broad strokes in place. It's the nuances that an actor gets, the human aspect of the character, good, bad, ugly. That is what I guess you can do from your side. But then the canvas is set, and I need to be within the canvas, and whatever I'm doing is kind of has to be navigated very carefully. So it's pretty much that. That's about it. I mean, thankfully, I don't get bogged down by the pressure of how. I mean, I would love for everyone to, not saying that, an actor shouldn't care, I don't care about the response.
Right,
it means the world to me, it means everything. I mean, because it's like the culmination, like the good old days, the basic thing, the yardstick of success or failure, even back in the day when, theatre started, when I was like taking the first few steps, it was all about the audience reaction. And even if you put out a bad performance and the audience kind of gave a thumbs up, my director won't give us hell. So it boils down, it's about that, and then how you get that is, I think, every time you kind of actually achieve that kind of love and adulation is when you do your work honestly and you don't do things in a calculated manner. That's what they want. They want it to be organic, they want it to be authentic.
Correct.
And that's I guess that's what strikes a chord.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And I will digress a little from Paatal Lok now, and we go to Berlin, which I believe is one of your finest performances easily. And that's much to say because you've had a stellar, OTT career so far. I say OTT because those have been out more so than the others, right? And I talk about Berlin in a way that
I have no kind of it's okay. You can say OTT. I'm not one of
you
those
don't have
who
that.
get
You don't have
offended-
that animosity
who
towards that term.
offended.
Not offended by it, of course.
Yeah, it's not at all.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know. The
absolutely
reason I bring up
you.
Berlin is that, of course, it is, as I mentioned, one of your finest, and it was received well as well. It's always one of those internal circuits when you see people that the praise is genuine. It's not for the sake of it. But unfortunately, because of, having, that's the other side of a digital release. When it goes a little bit under the radar, it's probably just very much under the radar and doesn't come to the notice as much as the other things do. Do you feel a little disheartened that that it necessarily hit that chord or that bam of a thing as much as the other releases did? Did you feel any of those things?
No, not really, because I think a film can only do so much on OTT. People have a voracious appetite for series, and I think shows tend to do better on OTT. That's like that's their turf. So for a film to kind of strike a chord, and a film like Berlin on Z5, it just kind of is, I think, in a way a trendsetter, because the platform is putting out good stuff.
Yeah.
Berlin is one of a kind film. It's had a good amount of penetration. And I think a film like this also stays. It's not gonna, maybe blow up in the sense that it's there wherever you go. It's like in your face, not that kind of thing, but almost kind of can achieve a cult status and a talking point for a long time, which is good enough. Every film has its journey.
Yeah. No, and I think, as you mentioned, OTT is the perfect example of that. It's there for posterity. People will see it sooner or later. Right? Super. Another very interesting thing is that the moment Paatal Lok became what it became with season 1, I think obviously, and it came in right at the brink of COVID, everything was, we were adapting to stuff. My question is that, of course, I guess, a lot changed, of course, at the outset, but in the inset as well. People started viewing you differently. Filmmakers started viewing it differently. Oh, okay, this guy is there. He's been there for a while, but now, okay, he's done this, so we can, sign him up for more central roles or, more out there roles, so to speak. So do you believe that happened purely because of the aftermath of Paatal Lok? Or was it one of those situations that, because COVID was there, the timing of some projects was that ki wo baad mein hi aa raha tha?
No, absolutely. Purely because of Paatal Lok. I mean, it's got nothing to do with timing. It's the show, the resonance that character had, the resonance and the beast that show became, and the industry was all like, everyone was kind of loved it, gave it so much of love, gave me so much of love. Master directors like Anurag Kashyap, I mean, it's not every day that you can get a call and you see on Truecaller it says Anurag Kashyap.
Yeah.
It's like and I was like, my hand was shivering because I've been like a huge fan of the man. I have so much respect for him, and it was almost like an unreal thing.
Yeah.
So clearly he was moved by it. He said some wonderful things, and which is enough. I mean, the fact that he's like my, is one person I've always kind of has again inspired me a lot, and unfortunately I've still not got any chance to work with him, but that was good enough for me, like a pat on my back from him. This was an OG show, so
for sure,
it's a very natural reaction. It was a catharsis for everyone, I guess. People were like that was like pretty much the be all and end all.
True.
So you locked up at home, not even getting out forget about getting out of your house. People weren't even stepping out of their rooms.
Exactly. Yeah, true, absolutely. And again, coming back to Ansari in this particular context is that it's very interesting that so far the characters which have been noted, I'm talking about Ansari, I'm talking about Rocket Boys, I'm talking about all the characters that you've played, as I mentioned, the aftermath, there is righteousness, to all these characters in one way or another. Does it occur to you as an actor? Because for someone who loves versatility and wants to make sure that his versatility is, out there at display, does it matter to you that I need to, make sure that I do characters which, sort of show the other side as well, go bananas, go crazy with a character, but not necessarily just for the sensationalism? Do you believe any of these things?
To do more versatile.
Yeah, to do more, of course,
Not
versatility,
something
yes, but a character which is not necessarily so righteous and can go crazy, and you get a chance to portray that. Because
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
for sure.
because people are not really used to it by with you in the so far the characters you've done.
looks can be deceptive.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a cunning, evil person at heart. It's just never judge a book by its cover.
Right.
People are in for a surprise.
Okay, I take that as a hint. I just genuinely take that as a hint that there's
I'm pure evil. I mean, I am waiting for filmmakers to cast me. I'm getting there actually.
Yeah.
I'm making inroads. People have actually started seeing that side of me.
right.
The makers with a keen eye.
Yeah.
They know that there's something up with this guy. He's not all like.
Awesome. I really believe that this is a huge hint, and you just have to read between the lines somehow. But fantastic. Moving on. Again, I think, Ishwak, one of the biggest things that I ask actors when I interview them, and again, as you mentioned, you don't have a problem with OTT, so I'll mention that does the theatrical bug ever bite you enough, to be thinking that, okay, now is the time that I need to look at. See, again, medium is not really in your hand. I understand that. But there are some films that from the outset are always meant to be theatrical releases, and they have to go to the theaters, underperform, overperform, whatever it is. Does that bug ever bite you? And do you have that, okay, I need one, release that just goes there?
It's an eventuality. I know it'll happen, so I'm in no rush. I mean, as you can see from my journey, I'm a very patient man. So I don't. I'm not forcing it. It happens, it's great. I'm there for it. There's only so much an actor can do. I mean, you can't really. I mean, you can pull on someone's sleeves and you can, keep going out there, hustle. But at the same time, there's only so much you can do. It's someone else who's taking a punt on you. So that's not in my control. It's something that has to come from the makers. And if it comes, like I've kind of, gone all out, full guns blazing, given it my all, I'd do the same for, that medium, whatever that character requires. If it because the thing is that definitely there's a different approach in commercial filmmaking, and I love the fact that you kind of need to adjust to that groove. The whole thing of, I guess, for me to what really excites me is to, when I go from one set to the other, is that how different they are, how different the ecosystem is. And I mean, I would have been miserable if I didn't enjoy that kind of that change, that
Right.
variation. It would just drive you nuts because every set is so different from the other. And I've got a taste of it. I know that it can be very different. Like, just imagine good old days. Apparently, like, a lot of things were off the cuff.
Yeah.
A lot of Hollywood filmmakers, do things off the cuff. Like,
Correct.
you don't really have they've got a story in place, but then the scenes keep coming as you're shooting. Now, one way is that, I had the stuff that I've done is like,
Yeah.
who am I to say that that's the wrong way or the right way? Because it's a filmmaker's way of working.
True.
Paatal Lok had a bound script. Some other Berlin was a bound script. Rocket Boys was a bound script, and I was like, it's kind of, I've had these scenes and I've been charting my course,
Correct.
working my arc, and I've gone to say I know each and every beat. But like, I'll tell you where it takes me back. I was in some kind of a distress. I was early years on stage, and I was doing this play, short stories by Manto, and I was doing a play called Sharifan, I think.
Okay.
The whole play is until that time I was very like by the book, that I need to know each and every line, I need to rehearse it, and I kind of, that's how we were brought up, doing these classic plays, and you had to kind of understand, know the lines, know the subtext, all of that. But for some reason, I wasn't there. You know, we didn't have much time for rehearsal. We just thrown on stage. Now, luckily, what happened in that play is that the whole play is one narration, and this guy's just reacting to it. I've never heard the play.
Right.
But I was committed. I had this passion. I knew what it's about. It's about this father who's just seen his daughter getting murdered, brutalized. And wife and daughter. He lands up at his house. Partition story. So he goes and repeats the abuse.
Oh.
And he keeps doing it until he reaches a point where he's become completely evil.
Oh, okay.
From a victim to a mass murderer.
The other side, yeah.
And I have never experienced a like in me, what I experienced within me was something that just got goosebumps, man. Like talking about it, it's so amazing and that became my favorite play. I never read it.
Yeah.
I would just hear it every time that we do it.
People would do it, yeah.
And so I mean, so the same thing applies here, you know. Once I did like it was a 45-minute solo, and I started getting the scenes.
Yeah.
6 days before the play, one scene at a time, and then finally, a day before I get this like 2-page long poem, just the night before. Zero rehearsals.
Yeah.
It's like I'm doing a narration, playing 6-7 different characters, then break into a dance. That's also unrehearsed. I was just figuring it out. I mean, quickly did like a final technical check outside the venue.
Correct.
This was like a proper stage performance for a community, a queer community, very important platform. Now, all of this gives you the confidence to realize that, when you put in these situations, in that resources, that time frame, what is it that you can do? And you should judge yourself basis of that.
Yeah.
You're not saying that and sometimes magic happens in that you surprise yourselves. You're not saying the audience should cut me any slack.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not expecting that. I'm just talking about my ways of working. If I'm able to deliver stuff, perform in different situations, just makes you sterner.
Awesome. And the story you were sharing the story, and I kept getting back to the fact that you mentioned Anurag Kashyap earlier. It just sort of fits the way you mentioned, because spontaneity is his thing. He's known to be a person, who likes just going on this set.
I just submit, when I have a master like him, and you were trust your instincts.
Yeah.
It's there, if you trust. But then everyone has to be aligned.
Correct. Yeah.
It cannot be that a well rehearsed that a director expects you to do rehearsals, workshops, and has given you a bound script. You just land
and then
up
you
there
just
and say, I'm going to do it off the cuff.
Change things up, yeah.
Because that is while I'm saying it's off the cuff, it's not really.
Correct.
That impulsive, the instinctive thing, you still have to do character work.
True.
You come with a foundation, peripheral work, call it whatever you want to call it. And then you because you have the character, you know the character, you're placed in different situations, you know how you'd behave.
Yep.
From the reading, I've never got the much debated thing about Brando was that he's so supreme in terms of his concentration and, understanding of the character, that he knew that if in this situation, he would say these things.
Right.
So the whole placard thing it's debatable. I mean, I know there's actors who've done this. In my time that I've spent on stage, they used to do this. We used to have these conversations that if I know this, if I'm doing Premchand, I know Premchand's world, there are only so many choices I'll make. In terms of language, in terms of word, I'll say, not to be taken too literally, but in a sense, you know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
You so that's where the work can take you. It can take you to that level of, probably that's getting closer to perfection.
Super. And we can just keep going on this particular thing, because it's so interesting when an actor talks about process the way you're talking about, and I really, really love that part. But I have to round things up in the question answer sense, and I have to talk about Netflix's upcoming in Gandhari. There's been so many reports that you've finally started shooting with Taapsee, and so much is going on. So if whatever you can just shed some light on it.
If the reports are out there, then maybe it's true.
I mean,
Let's believe in the reports.
let's believe in the reports.
Let's
and
manifest.
and I believe that hint is somewhat related. I don't know. I'm just, I'm putting my own reports out there to be, up for grabs. Fabulous, fabulous. Thank you so much in this.
Thanks, man.